Edward and Connie Sumner reside in the affluent Westchester County, New York, along with their 8-year-old son, Charlie. Although their marriage is affectionate, it has fallen into a routine of monotony and complacency. While shopping in Soho, Connie is accidentally pushed by the wind into a man named Paul Martell, causing them to both stumble. Paul offers to tend to Connie's scraped knee at his apartment, where he cleans and treats it before making a physical gesture by placing his hand on hers. Connie shares only her first name with him. Before she leaves, Paul insists she take a book, pointing out a passage that encourages seizing the moment with his contact information inside. Connie contacts Paul from Grand Central Terminal, and they arrange to meet again, continuing their flirtatious interaction. Their third encounter escalates to dancing and intimacy, leaving Connie both aroused and fearful of her actions. She finds reasons to visit Paul repeatedly, despite her growing unease. Meanwhile, Edward grows suspicious after catching Connie in a lie. Edward, dealing with his own issues, dismisses an employee for what he perceives as disloyalty. This employee, having observed Connie and Paul together, points out Edward's own family troubles. Edward, devastated, hires a private investigator who provides photographic evidence confirming Connie's affair. One day, Connie forgets to pick up Charlie from school, leading her to realize that she can no longer continue her affair with Paul. Determined to end things, she heads to Paul's house after completing a grocery shopping errand, intending to break the news to him. However, upon arrival, she catches sight of Paul with another woman, sparking feelings of jealousy. Confronting him, they engage in a heated argument during which Connie questions Paul about his involvement with other women. Paul's contradictory statements fuel Connie's anger, and she forcefully ends the affair, expressing her disdain for him. Storming out, she is pursued by Paul who, despite her resistance, coerces her into engaging in sexual activity. After Connie's departure, narrowly avoiding encountering Edward, Paul admits Edward into the apartment, where Edward discovers a snow globe he had given Connie. Enraged, Edward uses the snow globe to fatally injure Paul, subsequently disposing of his body in a landfill after erasing evidence of Connie's voicemail. NYPD detectives trace Connie's contact information to Paul's residence, leading them to the Sumner's home. Learning of Paul's disappearance from his estranged wife, Connie feigns ignorance of Paul's personal life. However, suspicion mounts, particularly when Paul's body is discovered. Connie's reaction to the news does not go unnoticed by the detectives and Edward. At the dry cleaner, Connie discovers incriminating photos of herself and Paul in Edward's belongings, causing her distress. Later, at a party, she comes across the snow globe among their possessions, triggering suspicions about Edward's involvement in Paul's disappearance. Confronting him, Edward reveals his awareness of her infidelity and expresses his deep hurt over her betrayal, accusing her of disregarding his efforts to provide for their family. He tearfully admits to contemplating harming her instead of Paul, revealing the extent of his anguish and betrayal. Several days later, Connie makes a surprising discovery, a hidden compartment within a snow globe containing a photograph of herself, Edward, and infant Charlie, along with a heartfelt message from Edward expressing his love for her. Touched by this reminder of Edward's affection, Connie expresses her remorse to him. In a symbolic gesture of moving forward, she decides to destroy the incriminating photographs. Edward, overwhelmed by guilt, suggests turning himself in, but Connie opposes the idea, proposing instead that they find a way to rebuild their relationship and move past the ordeal. For a brief period, they attempt to resume a semblance of normalcy together. However, during an evening drive home, Connie drifts into a daydream about escaping their troubles by fleeing the country and adopting new identities. Surprisingly, Edward entertains the idea, offering her comfort as she becomes emotional. Their conversation takes a startling turn when it becomes evident that Edward has deliberately halted the car next to a police station, suggesting a potential resolution to their dilemma. The movie ends here. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel.